Inspiring connection. Restore. Renew. Reconnect. Live. Laugh. In love. Connections. Dream. Getaway Experiences. Brave Heart Workshops. Unique Getaways live with Jill Reynolds.
The Connection Show. Renew, restore, and reconnect in community. Sponsored by Brave Heart Workshops live with Jill Reynolds. And joining me today is Emily Hull, who's located currently in the Netherlands. Welcome to the show, Emily.
Thank you. It's great to be here. Emily Shull.
Shull. Did I say that?
You said Hull.
Oh, I said Shull. I thought I had the S there. So Emily Shull. Emily is a certified money coach and the founder of Me, Myself, and Money. She helps people like you understand and transform your relationship with money so you can earn, save, and enjoy your money without the anxiety. Emily earned a master's degree in family financial planning. But the more she learned about the practical side of money, the more she realized something was missing, the emotional side. The sole focus of her coaching practice is not on your numbers, but on you and your relationship with money. Emily works one-on-one with individuals and couples to help them see and change unconscious patterns of behaviors and money blocks that are keeping them stuck. She also has created on-demand courses to reach more people with her gentle yet effective approach. She is known for her calm voice, non-judgmental manner, and the ability to challenge people to think differently about money and about themselves. She meets with clients virtually and splits her time between the United States clients and Netherlands. So thank you so much. And what an amazing bio that you have. And we had connected on another group, and I was impressed by how much you've been helping others.
Oh, well, thank you, Jill.
Yes. So what I'd love the audience to know is a little bit about your journey of growing up and, then getting into this line of work. What led you from your youth to this line of work?
All right. Wow. Yes, I think like most people, it's not just one clear road there, but so many factors involved. I would say two of my longtime interests have been personal development and personal finance. And it took me, about 40 years to realize that I could put the two together and help people with that.
Wait a minute, you got to pause for a moment. You said 40 years. You look like you're 22.
Well, thank you.
You're over 22. Okay, you blew
Yes.
You just shocked me just now. So I had to stop you for a minute. You go 40 years. There's no way you've lived 40 years.
Yeah, so when I was about 22, 23, I found myself in a lot of credit card debt, and I was living away from home. I had graduated from college, and college to my family was this very aspirational thing where, that was the pathway to success. So I felt a lot of pressure on myself to be financially successful. And I remember one day just sitting on the edge of my bed, balancing my checkbook, way back before the days of online banking, and realizing that I didn't have enough money in my account to meet the minimum payment on my credit card. And I was really scared. Like I said, I was by myself. I was away from my family and my friends. I had just moved to Boston from the Philadelphia area. Well, I went to school in Baltimore, so I moved from Baltimore. And I realized I needed to do something about my finances. I need to learn how to manage my money. And so I studied everything that I could. I just started reading books. I asked my roommates. I just started learning as much as I could about debt management, about investing and saving.
Did you take the Dave Ramsey courses?
I didn't. Yeah, I hadn't heard about Dave Ramsey up until that point. It was Susie Orman actually was
Okay,
one of my
Susie.
inspirations early on.
Okay.
Yeah, saw her on Oprah.
I love Susie Orman's show. I love the fact that she said, if the person you're dating will not open up their checkbook and reveal your finances, don't marry them. If they won't talk about money, don't marry them.
Yes, it's really difficult to do, and I can tell you a little bit later. I help couples do that, have that conversation, because it is so difficult to do.
Mm-hmm.
So fast forward a few years, all my debt was paid off. I paid off my student loans early. I had a positive net worth. I bought my first condo, a little tiny studio condo. And if you had asked me at that time, actually up until just a few years ago, if you'd asked me what my money story was, that's what I would have told you. But I didn't realize so much of it was still to be written and still unknown to me. So a few years later, I had always had an interest in personal finance, but I never did that as a career. I started out in market research, found that it wasn't quite right for me. I didn't really feel like the ethics were quite aligned with mine on some of the projects or some of the people that I worked with. So I started working for nonprofits, and I spent most of my career in nonprofits and in higher education and universities, either as a grant writer or as a researcher. And so it came to the point where I thought, well, I have an interest in personal finance. I'd like to help people. So I investigated that, and I talked with a few financial advisors. This was maybe 12 years ago. And the answers weren't so inspiring. One person said, oh, it's all about assets under management. It's really made it seem like a real sales position, just trying to get the assets from clients in order to boost your own income. And another person had been working at one of the major brokerage firms, and he described that as soul crushing, selling things to clients that weren't necessarily in their best interest. So I thought, okay, maybe this isn't right for me.
Well, it's funny that you say that, because turns out my son is a financial advisor. And, at times a couple of years back when he first started, I said, give me some of your business cards so I can help to market you. And he looked at me and says, Mom, I don't believe in that. And I says, what do you mean? Because I have a 38-year background in sales where you always network. And he goes, no. He goes, people's money is so much of a story where you don't solicit someone about their money. You don't solicit. He said, it's attraction. If someone meets me and we're on the golf course and someone says, what do you do? I might say I'm a financial advisor. And once they've known me for some time, they might just say, hey, could I give you like $500,000 to invest and see how you do? He said, but I don't solicit people ever. And he said, my integrity is on the line and their money is confidential for me. And he goes, there's no way I'd want anyone handing out my business cards. And I thought, wow, that's integrity, because I have not met many people as financial advisors that work that way.
Yeah. And it sounds like your son is very wise. I do want to say, I know lots of financial advisors, financial planners who are full of integrity, most of the ones that I know, almost all, they want to do the right thing, and they are helping clients, and they got into this profession because they want to help people. I just want to say that I know some business practices, I would say, are not aligned with my values, but as a whole, I think the financial advising industry is actually, yes, I know very good ones. So where was I in my stories?
So you were saying how you spoke to these two different parameters of financial advisors.
Yeah, so I thought, okay, well, maybe that's not right for me then. But a few years after that, my husband and I moved. He got a job out of state, and so I left my job, and I thought, well, this is a good opportunity for me to explore what to do next. And I came across an online master's degree program in family financial planning. And I thought, well, let me just see where this takes me. Maybe I'll be an advisor, maybe not. Maybe it would just help us personally as a family if I learned more information about this. And during the course of my study, I loved it, first of all. And I interacted with a lot of financial advisors and planners and counselors and educators. who were really helping their clients. The industry had changed so much in the meantime, so it was much more focused on not just the high-end clients, but trying to help a wide range of people with different methods. So I thought I was going to be an advisor, and then I took a class in financial counseling, and that was talking with people about the day-to-day money management. So not about the investments, not people who were wealthy and trying to manage their wealth, but the people who were trying to get out of debt and build savings. And what I found was that these conversations that I had, we had practice clients there, and the conversations that I had with them were so emotional, and that just made so much sense to me. I've always seen money as being a really emotional issue and something that's tied to every aspect of our life. And when I looked at my other classmates, some of whom were in the field, I saw that often it was that aspect of money was kind of lacking in what they were offering their clients or the way that they talked about money. There is a need for education and for the practical side of it, absolutely. But there's also the need for this emotional side, because most of our habits are actually made unconsciously. We're not aware. And they come from really strong patterns that happen, that go back all the way to our childhood. So that's what I do. So I sought more information about this. I trained at the Money Coaching Institute to become a certified money coach. And that means I'm trained in a specific method to help people really mine their own history. We go through their money history like year by year and try to find the patterns. Okay, if you're uneasy with your money now, if you're avoidant, if you don't want to open your credit card bills, if you never think you have enough, it could be a variety of reasons that people are anxious or uneasy with money. So we trace where they are now, where their discomfort is around money now, and we trace that all the way back to their childhood. And once we're able to find the origin of that, then things open up. Then finally they realize, oh, there's a reason why I'm acting this way. Because most of the time we just get stuck in the cycle of shame and we think there's something wrong with us. We have these goals for ourselves and we want to meet them. And sometimes we take action to meet them, but we just can't. And then we feel like we're broken or that we're stuck or there's something wrong with us. So I really help people just take the shame away and understand and let them know there's a reason why you're acting this way. And let's try to figure out what that reason is. And once they know it, it really just, it's such a relief and it opens things up. And most importantly, it gives them control. It gives them the possibility now to actually choose to do things differently because they're not operating automatically anymore.
I love that. One of my most favorite things in my life that I've learned how to start to do in about 2013, I was in treatment for an eating disorder, and I was able to, with the best therapist ever, to learn a protocol of why it's so important to connect the dots in our life. And when you have some issue, like a money issue, and you don't connect the dots and trace it, it's very difficult to overcome burdens in your life. And so I love that your philosophy is connecting those dots, because it's just such an important thing. And and we grow up in a society. Where do children or young people learn about money? Very, very little, if any, education on it. And it's kind of funny. My story is kind of a strange one. I was a single, never married mom at 28 years old and paid cash for everything until my son had a vision issue that was going to cost me, back in those days, this is like 38 years ago, $55 per session 3 times a week. And I was like, there's no way I have that kind of money, and started to use a credit card. And when I did and had to build on that, it took me forever and ever and ever to get to a place of figuring out how to pay that off. So my son saw me growing up in debt. And so, if you would trace that back to the origin of him looking at money as being in debt, and then fast forward it, Emily, I had always heard that, when your children become 18, it's imperative to let them fly out of the nest and be on their own. But how does a parent do that if they haven't taught their children money management skills? They'll fail miserably. And it was so strange when my son went off to college, I had made a decision when he was younger that the one thing I was going to do for my son was pay for his education. I says, if I have to work 2 jobs, this is something as a mom I wanted to do. So when he went off to college, I gave him a credit card, and I did it for 2 reasons. You'll laugh, because I wanted to see what he was spending, but it also helped me to know what he was doing at college, because I could monitor him 10 hours away. And so I had him put every single thing on a credit card, from his groceries to gasoline, his cell bill, everything was on one credit card. And then every month I paid it off. So 4.5 years after he graduated, his credit score was 850, which is phenomenal for a college graduate at 23 years old. And so when he graduated, he said, Mom, can I come home? And my response was, first off, honey, when you left at 18, you left the nest. And so this is no longer your home. It's my home. So you could come and visit me and stay with me. I'll let you stay with me for 90 days. He goes, 90 days? I said, yep, 90 days. So I set some boundaries that in those 90 days, he had to get up every day, shower, put a suit on, sit at the kitchen table, and look for a job, which he had in 4 days. The first month, Emily, I still continued to pay all of his expenses, but put it on a spreadsheet, what they were. The second month, he had to take all of his paycheck and pay his car insurance, his cell phone, his groceries, all of his lunches and everything, put it on a spreadsheet, on a budget, created a budget. So by the third month before he was to flee the nest, he knew how much money he had left of his paycheck to cover rent, utilities, and if he wanted to go out and have fun, in his own groceries. So he knew it was all spread out. So on his 90th day, he knew he had to move in with 3 other buddies to be able to afford what his paycheck would go towards. And it was funny, Emily, he continued from the moment he left home to keep everything on his credit card, because I had showed him. And to this day, at 38 years old, he barely has $5 in his wallet. Everything goes onto one credit card, everything, all of his bills, I think except his mortgage. And he actually pays cash. Believe it or not, he pays cash for his brand new cars that he gets about every 4 to 5 years. He has cash saved and set aside. And he blows me away. So, of course, I let him manage my money, because something I did worked for him. But I think it's like what you're saying. It's so imperative, this philosophy that you're teaching, to teach them to adults so they can pass this on and carry them on to their children.
Yeah, Jill, you blow me away, because that's such a rare story that a parent actually sits down, you did exactly that, and teach their child about money management. Mm-hmm. Often it's that you go to college, or just get a good job, and then that should be okay. But it's one thing to make money, but it's something completely else to learn how to manage it. And
to budget, how to budget. And I happen to be a Christian, and so I have, gone through Dave Ramsey's courses, and I really encourage you to do them, because they're amazing. They're really amazing. And the one thing that Dave Ramsey does at his corporate offices in Nashville, the moment someone's debt-free, the entire office building, which is, I think, a couple of hundred employees now, the whole office rings a bell. So if it came across, Jill Reynolds became debt-free today, the whole office celebrates. They have a party. And if the people live local, they come. But they celebrate that person's freedom from being debt-free. And the one thing that I had to learn, and it took me, even though I taught my son these principles, I have to say, Emily, it took me still, I want to say, at least 7 to 10 years then, even though he learned it, for me to live it myself, because I still had my own debt, and I still had financed his $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 college education that I made a decision I was going to pay off. So I still had my own money issues. And it wasn't until one day I was at church and listening to a message that I had heard 100 million times, which was 10% of your paycheck, the minute you make it, goes to God, the church. The next 10% goes to you. Put it in savings. The next 80%, pay your bills. And that's how you live. And I kept hearing it. And finally, one day I just looked at my husband and I said, we're going to live this way. We're not going to, the minute we get our check, before you do anything, you write 10% to our church, 10% goes into our savings account, and 80% goes to our bills. And you're going to just have to figure, my husband does our finances. I said, you're just going to have to figure out how that 80% is going to make all the bills.
Yeah. And for those who try this and they don't succeed, that's where I come in. Because we can set goals for ourselves and sometimes we're really successful, but sometimes we just have these money blocks and we don't know where they come from. They just come out of nowhere, literally. And to be able to get to the root of them is what can drive us forward.
So take us on that journey a little bit further. So how do you begin that process then of working with them? Just to give us, we didn't want to take all your secrets, but how do you begin then working with them? Because obviously, like for me personally, my money blocks, definitely were that, well, first off, I had to take care of my son by myself, had no child support. I was and I was in outside sales. So I had a small salary and commission and had to know that this is how I was going to have to pay my bills. And when the money didn't last, it went on the credit card and it became very stressful. So how then do you take that person like myself on that journey of healing that and then becoming debt free?
Yeah, great question. So I'm trying to think if I have a client that I can relate to with your story. I'm not immediately coming up with something. So I'll use a different example. So for example, this is really common. Women, especially, many people, especially women, often have trouble when it comes to sales and marketing. So if they go into business with themselves, that's the area where they often will hit a money block. Or those who are employed, when it comes to getting promoted, asking for more money, raises, negotiating, that's an area where they often have a lot of trouble. And so one of my clients, she came to me and she was very anxious around money. And she had her own business. And one of her problems was that when it came to billing, when it came to telling clients, bidding on a project, she was often really uncomfortable with the prices. She had a formula. But even within that formula, when it came to the output, she sometimes felt like, oh, this price is too high. And she felt really uncomfortable asking for that price. So she would often try to spend a lot of time and also just emotional energy trying to think about it a little bit differently, trying to get this to work a different way. And so we talked about that. And then we went through her money bio. And it turned out her first two money memories were about asking for something and being scolded by her mother because she asked someone for something. So that set up a very clear pattern of behavior throughout her life. And it had to do not only with asking for gifts, but as an adult, asking for money for her business, and also in relationships, asking her husband to participate in the way that she wanted to. She also had a pattern of being very passive aggressive in her relationship with her husband and her children. And once she understood where this is all coming from, she was able to see, oh, that's the reason. It's because I didn't want to get in trouble, or I didn't want people to think that I was not a nice person, because my mother told me, nice girls don't ask for things. If someone gives you something, that's fine, but you never ask for it. And
so let's say you have somebody that, let's say you're in a family of 3 children, and 2 of the children in the family, I'll just give this an example, have had financial needs, and they go to their parents and ask for help, and the parent helps them. Now, the next child who's never had financial needs, let's just say, they go to the parent and ask for help, and the parent says, well, you don't need my help. You can do this. So how then does that person who sees those other people around them, and let's say that other person is going through, well, I'm not good enough, in order to process that rejection, let's say, do they then need to do the therapeutic emotional coaching with you to process that emotion of not good enough? So do you do it like therapeutically then?
Yeah, good question. We don't go, it's more how far they're willing to go, how far they can go. I'm very much, I'm not pushy. So, we go as far as we can in the moment. And then I have tools to help my clients feel into, where the origin of this feeling, where did it come from? What words are associated? What do you feel around this time? To kind of, to process it that way. And also to bring in the logical part of our brain and to reimagine, how would you have liked this to go? Especially if it's really an early memory that's really like the core emotional root of a problem. To reimagine, okay, your mother said that you were not a nice person to ask for money. How would you have liked that conversation to go? And then how can you bring that feeling into the present, into your current work?
Good. And so how long generally is the coaching process? I'm sure everyone's different, but generally from the time they come to you to the time of fruition of where you feel like you can let them fly out of that nest and be self-sufficient, how long is that process generally?
Yep. Well, I have a method that is 4 weeks, and that's called the core process. And in that, we go through the money history with a fine-tooth comb, very thoroughly, and we take a look at what the origin of their behaviors are, whether they came from their mother or their father or both. We use archetypes so they can name the behaviors and the feelings that they're having around money now. And then we take a look at their history, their accomplishments, maybe some skills and traits that they have that they're not currently using that they could. It's all meant to open their container for receiving. And so that process takes 4 weeks. And then after that, many clients find that they really need some accountability to make these changes. They're left with a guide of where they want to be with small but actionable steps. And so if they want that accountability, then they can work with me making those changes as well.
So what led you to the Netherlands?
Yeah, so my husband is Dutch. We met in the United States 10 years ago, right around this month, actually, 10 years ago. And I never had any intention of living in another country. He loves to travel, but I didn't grow up with that spirit. So we met here. We have 2 young children. And last year, we went to the Netherlands for a year for his sabbatical year for work. And we just decided to stay during the year. We thought, you know what, it's really good here. And I think it's nice for the children. And I really loved it. It actually came from me, which all of my friends were surprised. Like, oh, of course, Martin would want to go back home. But yeah, I initiated it. So
do you love it there?
Yeah, it's really nice. It's really nice.
How old are your children?
They are 8, and my youngest will be 6 next week.
Wow. Well, that's lovely. Well, I think we had mentioned, you might have heard me, my favorite of all vacation spots in the universe is Aruba, that's owned by the Netherlands. So I have a fondness of the Netherlands people in Aruba. And a lot of people don't know the Arubians they were discovered, I guess, the discovery of Aruba were Indians and the Dutch. And so it is a Dutch-owned island, and the language in Aruba is Papamento. But all of the people of Aruba in school, they have to learn 4 languages. So they learn their native language of Papamento, they learn Dutch, English, and Spanish. So it's a really amazing. Have you been yet to Aruba?
No, I would love to go. I haven't been yet. I've been to Curacao, which is another Dutch-owned island.
Yeah. In fact, when we were having dinner, we went there in November of this past year, and I was sitting in a waiting lobby, waiting for my food, and a lady sitting there was from Curacao, and she was visiting her son in Aruba. And I says, which island do you prefer? She goes, oh, by far, I love Aruba. She says, by far. So there's, I guess, the variances. So I'd love to ask you if you had an opportunity to do your favorite or what looking at a getaway experience, would it be a getaway experience with the family right now, or would it be a getaway experience with business where you might do an event with clientele?
Oh, yeah. I think it would not be with family because given the lockdown, I've spent a lot of time with my family in the past few months. Um, yeah, given the choice between those two, it would definitely be, yeah, a business event with clients. Or actually, what I first thought of was getting together with my friends on some sort of retreat.
Mm, okay. Well, that's amazing. And so, if someone told you today, Emily, you had to get rid of all of your apps on your cell phone, but you only could keep two, what are your two must haves?
Gmail. I don't use my phone very much. And maps.
Mm. It's so
I'm lost
funny.
without them.
It's so funny you said that. That was my answer too. Mine was either Gmail or Facebook Messenger because I have to connect and for my business. And I have to have my Waze app because I moved to Branson, Missouri 2 years ago, and I still have no idea where I'm going. So if I didn't have it, I'd have no idea how to find my way home.
I know the feeling.
And when you're in the Netherlands, you're like probably the same. And you'd probably need three. You probably need the WhatsApp so you can communicate with your family at home. Do you use WhatsApp?
That's true. Yes.
Yeah, the WhatsApp. And I never knew about that until I went to Aruba, and everybody in Aruba uses WhatsApp to communicate. And what is one fun fact about you?
One fun fact. Oh boy, putting me on the spot. Well, I mentioned my husband is an adventurer, and I guess the fun fact he's made me more of an adventurer. He has been on great conferences in really awesome locations, and he's taken me with him. So that included Curacao, St. Petersburg, Russia, Estonia, and places I can't even think of right now. So, Abu Dhabi.
Wow.
We were there right before the lockdown, the week before everything shut down.
What kind of work does he do?
He is a research scientist, and his field is cybersecurity and machine learning.
So he has to go. Yeah, my husband, before he retired, worked for an insurance company and as a division manager. And one of the perks we had was every year we got to do a vacation with his top 10 performers, his top performers in sales at five-star resorts. So those 13, 14 years before he retired, I was like, when he retired, I said, I know you're ready to retire, but I'm not ready to give up my trip. So it's kind of why I started even expanding Braveheart workshops, because I figure, okay, we can do retreats wherever the leaders want to go. And then I go with, and my husband comes with, and we offer like a concierge service. So we do everything for the leader. We pick up people at the airport, drop them off. So yeah, and so I missed my vacations with this company, and I says, we have a way that we'll keep traveling.
Yeah. I love to hear how people, make careers out of their passions and interests. That's fabulous.
So what I'd love to do now is just show your bio to the audience so that they know how to contact you. Again, this will be on our YouTube channel and our website so that you can reach out to Emily, and please reach out to her and, make that appointment, that 4-week commitment at least, to start to manage your money without anxiety. So I think that would be an amazing opportunity for you. And so at this time, I'd love to just tell the audience, thanks so much for joining Emily and I today. And for those of you that are leaders who would love to be able to be on the Connection Show, please go to our website, which is braveheartworkshops with an S on the end.com. Fill out our contact form, and I'll get back with you to schedule a time that works best for us. For the audience, you are so amazing, and we very, very much value you jumping on and listening to these amazing leaders. And so we've extended our show now on Wednesdays, where you can jump on to the Connection Gathering Meetup Tribe on Zoom on Wednesday nights. My Zoom meetings must have your email in order for us to send you a secure password. So go on our website, look at the Zoom connection page, and then connect with our Facebook group. So we hope that you could join us whenever you're free on Wednesday. There's no commitment, no cost, just whenever you want to jump on. And we do have several of our leaders, when they're available, who will jump on too. So we hope you'll join us on Wednesday nights. Emily, I know you're in a horrific different time zone. So if you're awake when we're doing our Zoom connections, actually we had somebody come on in their pajamas in England. So come on in your pajamas and join us on Wednesdays when you're able, and to connect with us further. So thanks a lot for joining us from the Netherlands.
Yeah, thank you very much. It was a pleasure to be here. Thanks, Jill.
Okay, thank you so much. Everybody, have a wonderful day. Take care.
Thanks for joining us on The Connection Show. Let's connect now. We can dream together to renew, restore, and reconnect with wellness in our life and community. To enhance connection, join us in the Zoom Connection Gathering Tribe on Wednesday evenings. The Zoom Connection Gathering Tribe is an easy and practical way for everyone to meet up, gather, and feel welcomed and accepted. To join us, go to braveheartworkshops.com. Then click on the podcast tab and the Zoom Connection Tribe tab. On that page, go to the Facebook page called The Connection Show Gathering Tribe and register to join our Facebook group. We post secure passwords each week in the group so you can log in safely. We meet on Wednesday evenings at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 o'clock Central, 6 o'clock Mountain, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for 1.5 hours with great topics, laughter, and connection. See you on Wednesday evenings. Thanks for joining us and have a great day.